This is Wild Hearts. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So in this game we've got a couple different visual options, of which we actually have to go back to the main menu to show you the two choices. So we're kind of starting off here with the basic performance mode, which is 1080p 60 FPS. And it is rough looking. Pop in, performance drops. Okay, so I think the art style they were going for, cool in concept, execution, awful. It looks atrocious. It's genuinely one of the worst looking, because you got to remember that this is like a next gen, quote unquote, current gen game. This is probably the worst looking one I've seen. It's awful. It's genuinely awful looking. And it's not even stable. The performance drops fairly often when you're just going about in the open world. The pop-in is terrible. When you've got like 3 players, because it's, it goes up to 3 players for co-op online, you can get like literally, I think, half the frame rate. Like we were literally like stuttering and walking around. The water looks terrible. The visuals are just, it's bad looking. So then there's also a second mode, which is a graphics mode, which is a 4K 30, which obviously looks better but doesn't play very well because, it's 30 FPS. But yeah, this game is it's bad. It's atrocious, honestly. Let's keep going though. There's HDR support. There's spatial sound, Dolby Atmos, DTS:X support. There's crossplay that you can turn on or off if you want to do that. And let's dive in and talk about the game. And again, show it off a little bit before we dive into that secondary mode, because again, we have to quit the game to be able to do that. So this is a Monster Hunter experience. It's basically like a lesser Monster Hunter, I guess you would say. To that degree, it is a little bit more accessible than Monster Hunter, I think, in terms of like the simplicity of things. But also at the flip side of that, it doesn't really do a very good job of telling you basically like anything in the game. It's weird. It kind of like overly holds hands and then doesn't at all. Because I'm sure if some people have been playing this and they dive in and they experience it, you might not know that there's a bunch of other weapons you can get. So that's right, if you go and craft weapons with the crafting lady, Natsumi there, you can actually get things like an umbrella and everything like that, but the game doesn't really tell you that. You could also climb, like Zelda-esque, certain things, like even monsters and stuff. And, there's like different like grappling things. Like there's some stuff that I like in this game, but there's a lot in this game that I don't like, because I think generally it's quite bad. So, we said the performance is awful, and it is. It genuinely is just terrible looking, and it plays horribly. But I do like that you have building mechanics. So you have the ability to make quick objects, so we can like put together these like kind of, Minecraft blocks, and they can create a wall if you put a bunch of them together. But like, they're very tedious and hard to use. But you also get this additional set of things where you can build like hunting towers, or zip lines, or cool signs, or houses, or like a field forge to do like, armor creation and stuff, and a campfire to cook campfire stuff, and something to like dry your meats, a drying rack. So that's cool. Oh, this water looks terrible. Yeah, when things like disappear, they kind of like just fade out into oblivion. It's just, oh man, sorry. There's so many things I just have issues with in this game. And, at its core, it's basically like Monster Hunter, but not fun. Is the biggest thing. The character customization is incredible in this game, just in terms of way too many options. It's incredibly in-depth, almost way too much. And yeah, I think I spent like 16 minutes, I think it was, customizing my character, which was sort of funny. So I liked that. There's not really any sort of story. There's a weird guy that kind of laughs and jokes about you. And these little balls, they're kind of fun. They're like a companion thing that helps you. I like the kind of look of the creatures that you're fighting. They're very like nature sort of infused. And I like that you collect lots of items to do crafting stuff. But again, it's kind of like Monster Hunter with an even more nonsensical story and all the fun dripped and taken away from it. I also wasn't able to experience Super like a lot of the game because they literally cut you off with the trial that I'm playing this game on to take a look at it and give thoughts on it. So that kind of sucks. I think it's the end of Chapter 1, which was about, I think we spent 5 or so hours doing that. So now all I can do is kind of wander around and show off how bland and absolutely ugly this game is. So let's go, we're going to save, and then we're going to go and we're going to return to the title screen so that we can adjust the settings so that you can see the 4K 30. So they claim it's like a twist on the hunting genre, but seriously, it's literally just Monster Hunter, but like not as fun. It makes Monster Hunter Rise, which again comes from the humble origins of the Switch, look like a true next-gen showcase of technology. Because once again, this is a current-gen game only. So it's kind of like mind-blowing that it looks and plays as bad as it does with a performance mode. A performance mode. And there's like long loading as well at times if you go into the main area. Not to mention the network issues as well. But I mean, I don't know, it's a trial, but it is the full game, right? But not the full game because they're limiting you. Hard to explain, but I think hopefully you get an idea of what I'm saying. So let's turn on, prioritize the resolution. So this is going to be the 4K 30. So yeah, that's going to be what we're dealing with here. It is pretty seamless to get other players to join your lobby. Why are we all the way over here? And anyways, doesn't matter. That really doesn't run very well. Okay. But yeah, you'll notice again, popping. I mean, this is an area where there's lots of like, you know, flora and stuff like that. So I'll give this area a pass for like the popping. But in general, you will see very near ground things popping in. And it's just like, again, I don't know why it looks so bad. Like, again, the art direction, I think, is kind of decent, but visually, it just looks really, really bad. I think this 4K version kind of helps a little bit. I'm still just kind of like, it's so weird that it's 1080-60, can barely handle that, looks terrible, and it's 4K 30, and it's still looks really, really, like, bad. I'm really honestly perplexed as to, like, why that is the case. Again, like, I like the destroy kind of buildings, the overgrowth, the character models, really cool, you get some different outfits and stuff, but it just, like, it looks, like, murky to just bad textures to just... I really don't understand this game, and it's like, you know, again, visuals, and then the performance on top of everything is just absolutely atrocious. So you do collect materials and stuff within the environment, like I mentioned, and that will allow you to kind of improve certain elements. A lot of the game just kind of felt like repetitive hack and slashing. They don't really tell you a whole lot, so we spent a ridiculous amount of time fighting a giant monster boar. It took like 35 minutes. And you get like a couple tries, and you can keep reviving each other if you like sort of die to a degree. Otherwise you fail and you have to restart the entire hunt again, which is boring. So it's very tedious, it's very boring, and it was just a truly awful sort of time. I did not enjoy playing this game. I liked Monster Hunter Rise. It was fun. Monster Hunter World, you know, kind of fun. I don't think I've necessarily like spent bazillions of hours playing them, but they were enjoyable. They were a bit grindy, but they were at least a bit fun and a little bit quirky, and the world was interesting and the characters were cool. Whereas this game just kind of shoves you in front of this weird dude that talks to you, and then it's like, you know, kind of deal with it and go do your stuff. Oh, the music's really good in this too. I want to mention that. The music is pretty good. But it's just like, it's a really nonsensical, bad running, bad looking game. And it's just like, I really don't quite, like, I get what they were going for. They just wanted to be Monster Hunter. But there's nothing about this that really makes it stand out on its own. And even this 4K 30 mode really doesn't look that much better at all. Prioritized resolution, okay. Wow, okay. Wow, I thought that would maybe look better. There are chat options if you are engaging in multiplayer with other people, so that's kind of cool. When the multiplayer works, because sometimes you have to go back to the main menu to get it going. Yeah. And there's a few different things you can hunt, but it doesn't really quite tell you what you're hunting exactly, so you have to like kind of figure that out, which was a bit weird when you were first starting the game. I was kind of like, where is this thing? That was a bit odd. And you can change the time of day by going into your little hut and resting. But I do want to show that off. So, like I said, there's the building mechanics. So, like, you know, you can build the quick stuff, or you can build your camp stuff. So it's like campfire, you know, this stuff, making a sign, you know, things like this. So I like that aspect of it. Even this, the performance is just not very good. So I like this aspect of the game. I like anything really usually in games where you're like building and stuff. So, you know, that I find kind of cool. You know, that you're able to make stuff, you can like cook and dry ingredients, and you can, you know, you can do things, right? That I find interesting. That I find, you know, intriguing. But at the same time, I kind of am like, you know, if the rest of the game isn't fun to play, what is the point of this stuff? And that was the biggest thing, is from what I played, and I did actually, I feel like I put in, you know, a fair amount of time on this one. I think I did definitely check it out, and, you know, I tried to experience it to the full degree that I could, and it was just, it was a really, really bad time. Which is why I was trying to balance this sort of review being like, you know, here are some positive things. Why is my sword on fire all of a sudden? That's different. I was just trying to balance out, you know, some of the things, try to pick out some good things that I liked, and try to show off a lot of things that I don't like. Like, I can't believe that this is a current gen game. Absolutely just flabbergasted by the fact that that is, you know, this is supposed to be something that showcases the technology that we have here, and it's just like, like, there's good density in like the trees and the grass, but they look like it doesn't look good, and I don't know if, you know, how you're viewing this is going to make it look better than sort of what I'm experiencing, but like, it really is just kind of like not a good way to experience this sort of thing. So they've got some neat core ideas, just being a Monster Hunter sort of rip-off to a degree. But yeah, there's just, it's a nonsensical story. There's a lack of focus. It feels really grindy, but with like a boring edge to it that's not fun and engaging. It looks horrible. It runs even worse. Well, actually, no, it looks worse than it runs, but it also does run pretty badly. And it's just sort of like a not very well done sort of thing. That's the biggest thing that hits me, is like, there's a lot of potential to provide additional Monster Hunter-esque games, right? Like, I really do think there is. There's definitely room for that genre to kind of grow and offer new things, but, you know, you've got combat that just really doesn't feel that engaging, and you've got gameplay that just doesn't run very well. But you do have, like, the multiplayer, you do have, like, you've got, like, the basics down. But it's like you don't have the stuff that really makes it cool and fun, if that makes sense. Like, I was always enjoying when we were playing the Monster Hunter Rise, which I think, again, very fair comparison to make when diving into this sort of thing. Is, you know, we were collecting cool costumes, we were having some fun at the camp, we were, like, interacting with stuff. There was lots of silly, fun little things you could do that kind of make the experience enjoyable. And yes, it can be a little grindy to play Monster Hunter. It certainly can. I thought it was at times. But, like, this really just kind of feels excessively slow. And every part of this opening just feels like it kind of takes forever, and it just sucks the life out of enjoying it. I can see if you're already used to the grind and the style of what Monster Hunter is as a concept, you might like some of the things that they're playing around with in this one. I think if you don't, you're going to have a horrible time. I think if you have no idea what I'm talking about from a Monster Hunter perspective, you're going to kind of not have a good time. And I kind of think that, like, I don't know what they were really doing with this, because the core basis of it, to me, sounds utterly fascinating and enjoyable. And the core mechanics are kind of there for this potentially to be like that. But it just really isn't. Oh, I get that. That torch kind of lets you fire stick. Okay. That's cool. So let's go show off a bit of the hunting. Not the boar. Let's go get the rodent. Depart immediately. Okay. I don't know why I have like a loading screen going on. Anyways, doesn't matter. So, I didn't like this. I didn't enjoy this game. I thought it was kind of tedious. I think that some players could find maybe some enjoyment if you're really, really deep into the Monster Hunter world already. You might find this as a companion thing that does some different kind of stuff mechanics-wise. It is a little bit more in concept accessible than, say, Monster Hunter, but at the same time it doesn't really tell you a lot of the things that I think this one could kind of excel at. There are a variety of different weapons you can use, but again, you have to go craft them and it doesn't tell you about them. And it does have an aim system, which is nicer than, say, Monster Hunters, but it also doesn't tell you about, like, how much damage you're doing. You can notice that the creatures do tend to, when they're running away, look a little bit weaker over time. But, yeah, I don't know. I really didn't have fun playing this. It's not something I look forward to diving into and taking a look at anymore after kind of completing this sort of, like, I don't know, evaluation, look at it, chat about it, whatever you want to call it. And I hope this kind of just sort of is giving you context into the game and what it's like and, you know, things that you can enjoy with this one. There are some different, like, moves and stuff you can unleash, and, you know, you're kind of seeing that with the combat. But it really does feel like you kind of just sit there and button mash, and occasionally, you know, eventually it dies, and then if you got multiple people, you know, obviously those other people are going to be coming in and giving you a hand, but it's still, like, we were literally hunting as, like, at one point a group of 3, another point a group of 2. The performance just gets even more unbearable. And then to mix that in, you know, you're kind of like, it still takes, you know, half an hour to play. Oh, I died. That's tragic. But the music and stuff, pretty well done. I like the character customization. So that's what I'm saying, is like, there's a few things here or there that I can kind of be like, oh, that's a neat thing. But there's a lot of this game where I'm just kind of like, this is ugly, bad, and a generally atrocious sort of setting and setup that I really didn't like. I had a rough, bad time playing this game. It was boring, it was cumbersome, and it's just, I think if they would have done something more with this, you know, I think kind of like the building block concepts or something a little bit better here. But, like, it's just weird. I got an achievement? What? Oh, 200 basic. I thought it was for building that wall, and I was like, I have done that so many times. So yeah, I wouldn't really necessarily recommend this unless you were looking at it like a companion thing for Monster Hunter, or if maybe the game gets a real overhaul for visuals, or at least even performance, because at a bare minimum, if you're going down to 1080, your 60 FPS should be smooth, especially when you got a game that looks this bad. Like this game is just downright ugly. so visually ugly.